Hey everyone, Evan here hosting the last episode of our 6th season of the Sports Ballers podcast. The Orioles and Yankees continue to work together near the front of the pack in this marathon. The Olympics are into their second week of competition, and if you really needed it, you got your first taste of football this past week with the Hall of Fame game. Stick around for another fun show. Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Sports Ballers podcast. I'm Evan Ash, joined as always by Corey Puffin and Eric Meyer. How are y'all doing today?
Pretty good. No complaints.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
Alrighty. There's really not a whole lot on our list. I mean, Corey, you might have more stuff to add.
Yeah, I'll have things to say. I just didn't bother to write notes down for me.
We're kind of in the dog days, if you will. So we'll start with the Orioles, who earned a split in Cleveland of a 4-game series after dropping the first two and then winning the last two. It wasn't looking good. They had us in the first half of the series, not going to lie, because the Orioles were just, it was ugly, right? Like more bad defense. There was a botched rundown, balls getting thrown away. Right, like it was still bad at the beginning of the weekend, and then on Saturday and Sunday they managed to turn it around. The offense showed up. They decided to hit the ball. I'll take it. Cleveland's pretty good. Their pitching staff is deep and effective. So that's good enough for me. Who else arrived? Jackson Holliday. We haven't talked about him in a positive light a whole lot on this show, just because when he had his first go-round in the majors...
He was bad.
He batted, what, 0.59?
He was very bad.
Yeah, it was bad. This time around, he's been...
Good.
So much better. Yeah, he's been
very good.
Thanks, Corey. Thank you for that.
In one of the games against Toronto last week... Jackson Holliday, his first career home run. It was a grand slam onto Utah Street.
It sure was.
So that was pretty incredible. He had another home run on Sunday. I'm encouraged by what I've seen from Jackson Holliday. He went down to AAA and obviously changed something. It's not obvious to me what it is. Maybe it's just confidence, right?
I would imagine it's probably mostly just confidence and just resetting himself.
Yeah.
His pitch selection's a lot better. He's not chasing as much out of the zone. To a fault at times because two of the outs he's made, he's been rung up on pitches that were in the opposing batter's box.
Oh yeah, these blind umpires are so tired of it.
It's fireable, frankly,
Hyde should be fired for not arguing.
Yeah, Hyde should be fired because he didn't go out there and scream at these guys for both of those because they were ridiculous calls. His leg kick is greatly reduced, and that was something that was talked about before he went down. Was he had a pretty pronounced leg kick, and it seemed like he was way behind on major league level fastballs because his foot wasn't getting down as quickly. So reducing that can help you sort of time up faster pitches. Because if you have a pronounced leg kick, if your foot's not down and you're not starting your bat, you're never going to catch up to a 96 or 97 mile an hour fastball. And we know that a lot of pitchers throw even harder than that. So that was definitely an adjustment. And we saw that against Emmanuel Clase, who's one of the best closers, maybe the best closer in baseball this year. He was allowing a batting average of .093 against left-handed pitching. Clase is a left-handed closer. And then Jackson Holliday turned around a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, and you ripped it up the middle for a base hit. So, that was, a microcosm of sort of the improvement. Confidence, obviously, a big thing. Obviously, hitting the home run as your first hit since returning was a big deal because he did look like he was pressing a little bit those first two at-bats. He rolled over on a couple of outside pitches to make easy ground outs before that. But since then, it seems like, that kind of lifted a weight off his shoulders. Because the home run that he hit wasn't just like, oh yeah, Jackson Holliday hit a home run. Or Jackson Holliday hit a grand slam when you were up 7 runs. No, the Orioles were blowing that game. They were in the midst of screwing that game completely up. It was 3-0, and then it was 4-1, and then it was 4-3. And then Holliday comes to the plate with the bases loaded, and he just hits an absolute mammoth shot onto Utah Street and just breaks the game open, which, the Orioles needed to win that game because they're playing the Blue Jays, who suck, who they sold off their players. And, it was such a big deal for him, and it's changed the way he's approached at-bats. He looks way more relaxed. Let me say some discouraging news. Grayson Rodriguez has been scratched from tonight's start.
What?
And Albert Suarez will be starting in his stead. So,
Why?
I don't know. I saw he got scratched, and now Albert Suarez is starting. That's obviously alarming.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so.
I didn't get an alert or
the
anything.
good vibes are gone.
Oh, they're definitely gone.
Yeah, especially for you. It doesn't take much.
No.
The vibes, the good vibes went away when we scored runs in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like we scored a couple runs. Oh, the game's over. We lost.
Yeah. And then what
He
happened?
warmed up.
We lost.
Yeah.
He warmed up.
Yeah, that's the part that concerns me.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't
reminds me a little, like, obviously you don't want to, put this on him, but
You're going to.
it reminds me of when I went to a Nats Braves game during Steven Strasburg's rookie year, and he warmed up and then was scratched, and like later that day he was put on the injury list.
You had Tommy John, and we didn't see him again until 2012.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's not the case, and we see Grayson Rodriguez hopefully soon, and not in 2026 maybe. Yeah, there's definitely, we'll keep an ear to the ground on that. My boy Colton Cowser, though. How about him?
Yeah. Vaulted back into favorite status for American League Rookie of the Year.
Yes, he's favored over the field on most betting websites now. He's at a -155 to win Rookie of the Year.
Not Jackson?
No. Corey, your boy Luis Heel is the second favorite, but his odds have slipped to like +250.
Yeah, I mean, I think Heel's going to stay in that conversation. There's that 3-game stretch that he had a couple months ago. If he had not had that, if he had stayed consistent through that stretch, I don't think that Cowser would be back in the favorite spot right now. But I think that those 3 games bringing Heel's ERA back up, and the fact that he's been solid since then but not as dominant, has definitely opened that door up for somebody like Cowser, who's just, I mean, he's having a heck of a year.
Yeah, and I think there is some bias towards position players for Rookie of the Year, just because, let's face it, it's harder for position players as in their first year as major leaguers to adjust to pitching versus pitchers adjusting to hitting.
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit back when Paul Skeens was making his debut, and just the fact that, a pitcher, it's all about execution, right?
Yeah.
Like the way that you pitch in the minor leagues is not in any significant way different from the way that you're going to pitch in the major leagues. Maybe you're going to be a little bit more careful with certain hitters, but outside of that, like the game plan is determined ahead of the game, and then it's just a matter of executing and placing your pitches where they need to be. Whereas hitters have to adjust to every pitcher they face. Hitters, their job is to react to what the pitcher does. Everything starts with the pitcher. They ultimately have the most amount of control of anybody on the playing field.
Yeah, like I
Against the
mentioned
ball.
Yeah, they're the aggressor in the engagement with the hitters. So, even as you look at Cowser's wins above replacement, if you look at it on Fangraphs, it's obviously more favorable there because they credit him for his very good defense that he's played this year, more so than Baseball Reference does. But you look at that, and it's kind of a mixed bag between him and Heel, just in terms of WAR. But
if it's a close call, they're probably going to
lean heavily in favor of Cowser just because he's a position player. Whereas it feels like Heel would have had to kind of stay in that all-star level pitcher mode to keep his foot on the gas. Like the thing is, even when Heel was still pitching well, he was the second favorite behind Wyatt Langford, who hasn't been good, just because they assumed that maybe he would turn it around, and he really hasn't. So they clearly, Vegas clearly does not see a pitcher as having a high likelihood of winning this award unless he's just a runaway favorite, like Paul Skeens, who's obviously going to win in the National League.
So where's Evan Carter on the odds?
He's not on the board.
Oh, okay.
He ain't got it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much it for the Orioles. Tonight's game has started. It's scoreless in the top of the first.
Speaking of, Colton Cowser was just robbed of likely extra bases on a
Little blooper.
really nice catch by whoever that was. out
Somebody.
there.
I have no idea.
I didn't know who that was. But, yeah, it was a really good play. Cowser's kind of like, so something to say about him, though, is he's early in the season, it felt like he was having a lot of bad luck. He was hitting a lot of hard hit balls that turned into outs.
Yeah.
And lately he's hit some balls that, found holes, so it's kind of evened out for him. But just the fact that he's consistently making contact, that's the value of it, because, we talked about his strikeout rate being too high. But the ability to, work counts, draw walks, and still in 2-strike counts be able to put the ball in play. Like, you're going to get more hits than if you strike out, because you're not going to get any hits if you strike out. So
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Corey, what's going on with the Yankees?
Well, the Yankees game that was scheduled for tonight against the Angels has been rained out, so they'll play a doubleheader tomorrow. I think the first game will be at 4:05, and it's a single admission doubleheader. So the second game will
Really?
just start, a
the
little while after
Yankees-
the first one.
Definitely did not do single admission doubleheaders because we're the Yankees and we like screwing people out of their money.
I couldn't speak to how frequently they do single admission doubleheaders, but it doesn't feel like it's been a frequent choice for them to make. But I think that they're a little bit more prone to do so if it's a weekday doubleheader. I don't know why that is, but weekends they almost never do single
I feel like
admission.
the answer to all your questions is money.
Yeah,
you're
pretty
more,
much.
You're more likely to get people to come out for 2 on the
Yeah.
weekends without, paying for just 1. You're not going to.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week with the pitching in particular, because Luis Gil was scheduled to start tonight. He'll start the first of the 2 games tomorrow, but he was also slated in as the probable pitcher for Sunday. And with him being a rookie, I would imagine they're probably going to push that start back and not have him go Wednesday, Sunday. Even a lot of veteran pitchers you're not going to see pull that, Wednesday, Sunday start in the regular season. That's just not a typical thing to see. So, we'll see how that affects the Yankees rotation. But, we've finally come out of our slump. We're playing solid baseball right now. I think we're either 7-3 or 8-2 over our last 10 games. One of those is the Yankees record and the other is the Orioles. So it's probably we're 8-2 and you guys are 7-3 because we've pulled into a tie with you guys atop the AL East. The only team in baseball with a better record than either of us is the Cleveland Guardians by half a game. But as we have talked at length about, they've had the benefit of beating up on some mediocre AL Central teams. Granted, the Twins and the Royals have actually been okay so far this year, but they've also gotten to beat up on the Tigers and the White Sox. And of course, we know the White Sox. Everybody's been beating up on them. I saw on social media earlier, and I posted in our fantasy baseball chat, that if you took away their current 20-game losing streak that they are on, 21 now, and you took away the 14-game losing streak they started the season on, they would still have the worst record in baseball.
They started 0-14?
Based on their win percentage. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe they didn't start 0-14, but they had a 14-game losing streak early in the season.
Jeez.
If you took away both of those, in other words, you took away 35 of their losses, they would still have the worst winning percentage of any team in baseball this year, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like if you take away a certain number of Tom Brady's Super Bowls, he'd still have more than anybody, except this is the opposite.
Like, you've got the Miami Marlins 29 games below 500. You've got the Colorado Rockies 31 games below 500, and they would still be worse than them.
The
Are
White
they
Sox
like
were supposed
50
to be
under? 60 under?
They are
they're
currently
on pace.
51 games under.
Wow.
They're on pace to only win like 38 games.
Oh my
right.
God.
Yeah,
So-
they're historically bad.
Other than the White Sox, the team that is the furthest behind their division leaders so far this season is the Colorado Rockies. They're 25 games behind the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
How many games behind the Guardians do you think the White Sox are, Evan?
I would guess like 45.
It's actually lower than that, 41 and a half. But
I looked
still
at
a lot.
it earlier. I knew it was 41.
Still a lot.
and change, so.
I'm like, they're way back there. Just
Yeah.
judging by all the stuff you just said, right? Like, they're the worst team in baseball by leaps and bounds.
The Colorado Rockies have the second worst run differential at minus 180. The White Sox are, Evan, guess.
I would guess minus 300.
Again, you're overbooging
it's
a little
that
bit.
bad.
Minus 251.
Oh, okay.
Still
Yeah.
Only minus
Only
251.
minus
Only that,
251.
Oh my goodness. Just
Yeah. So it's not been good for the White Sox. But I digress. Back to the Yankees. We made that trade for Jazz Chisholm, and he had a crazy red hot start with us with three home runs in his first 3 games. He's hit the ball pretty well. He's transitioned to playing third base and has done a solid job of it. I was watching our game, one of our games over the weekend, and had a ball that kind of ate him up a little bit, but he was able to stick with it. No panic, threw out the runner at first, and it was a pretty fast guy booging down the line. So it was he's been pretty impressive. Aaron Judge is starting to get intentionally walked a hilarious amount because we have nobody hitting behind him. You got Juan Soto ahead of him in the lineup. Even though Giancarlo Stanton has returned to the lineup, he's not hitting the ball like he was early in the season. So
That's what he does.
everybody would rather face him, or they would rather face, like we've tried different people batting right behind Judge. We've had Chisholm right behind Judge. We've tried Volpe right behind Judge. We've tried Alex Verdugo right behind Judge. We've tried Gleyber Torres right behind Judge, and nobody's getting that kind of respect, to the point that in one of the Jays games, I think it was on Saturday against the Blue Jays, they intentionally walked Aaron Judge with 2 outs, nobody on, in the second inning. It was the first time in more than 50 years that a batter had been intentionally walked in that situation. Even Barry Bonds didn't get intentionally walked in that situation, and he had more intentional walks than anybody ever.
well, you said the second inning.
Second inning.
Well, Barry Bonds wouldn't have come up in the second inning because he batted third.
Oh, no, that early in the game, so first or second inning.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, first or
All right, so
second
it
inning,
wasn't
2
specifically
outs.
the second, okay.
No, it was
All right,
not
gotcha.
specifically the second. It was that early in the game, so second inning or earlier, with 2 outs and nobody on.
Was that Judge's first plate appearance?
It was.
But
No,
you
been
only-
the second
no,
inning.
no, that was his second plate appearance. He had hit a home run in the first inning.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, they walked him.
Yeah, they saw that and they were like, oh,
Okay,
I'm not
but
doing
he
that
also leads the league in first inning home runs this year.
Well, yeah,
Well, the Yankees should bat him leadoff then.
they did that in 2022.
I mean, maybe, but like,
They should.
but
You
you haven't
can't
but
find
you,
somebody to hit behind him.
but you
to
have
put
him batting
everybody behind him.
third, so that way, hopefully, one of the 2 guys gets on ahead of him and it becomes a multi.
Well, that's not going
run
to
home
happen.
run.
Would you
So-
consider putting Juan Soto behind him and have Judge bat second?
They should have done
At,
that.
at this point, I would probably consider it because I think that
Consider it.
I don't think that pitchers
Why haven't they done that?
and managers are going to intentionally walk Juan Soto the way that they are Aaron Judge, because
No, he's not as good.
Juan Soto has hit the ball very well.
Yeah,
I mean
he's great.
he's the second best hitter, or has for most of the season anyway, been the second best hitter in baseball. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at OPS recently.
Shohei Brotani's probably got it.
He may have caught him by now. He definitely was not earlier in the season when Juan Soto was number 2 by a long way in everything. But regardless, he's not hitting for power the same way that Aaron Judge is. He's not hitting 40. He hasn't hit 40 plus home runs
course not. Nobody
this
has.
season. So you're willing to, accept him getting a single or a double behind Judge. You're not willing to have Judge hit a home run behind Soto, so you're going to intentionally walk Judge a lot more. So yeah, I probably would consider flipping them.
Why hasn't this happened months before now?
Maybe because the 2 of them have played so well that you don't want to mess up the flow. I don't know. I don't know how much lineup structure really affects players' effectiveness in game. I don't know how much it affects their game plan or their confidence or whatever. But if there is any sort of a mental connection there, maybe you just don't want to mess that up because the 2 of them have been hitting so well.
Yeah. I mean, when it's no longer effective, you have to do something else.
Well,
Well, it's not like the
that's
Yankees are
the
winning.
thing. we've had a stretch where it wasn't effective for the team, possibly.
Yeah.
But it also may not have had anything to do with them. It may have had to do with other people who were
other
not hitting
7 guys.
very well. Volpe stopped hitting the way that he was early in the season. Some of the vibes with guys like Alex Verdugo and Oswaldo Cabrera have cooled off. Verdugo's now chasing everything out of the zone and watching everything in the zone. He's not playing as good of defense recently. There's been some struggles with the other 7 people in that lineup that have really affected the team as a whole, but it never stopped working for Soto and Judge.
Well, yeah, because they're great. Another frustrating thing is I'm not.
Pretty nice pitch by
That was
Suarez.
good. I didn't know he had that in him.
I didn't either.
Filthy. He don't just those fastballs and curveballs. Whatever this was.
That? I think that was a sinker.
That was filth. Right on the black. Oh my goodness. But
Maybe that was a changeup, 87.
Yeah. To add to the frustrations for Judge being intentionally walked, this is not as important because it's about stats and not about winning. But intentional walks don't help you when it comes to the calculation of your wins above replacement. They're considered basically non-plate appearances. They're thrown out.
Are they even? They're not counted even as walks.
No.
Interesting. That's interesting because if you look at people's like just their regular stats, intentional walks,
of course they do.
Not only count in the IBB column, but it also counts in the bases on ball.
Of course, because you're getting walked. But the way that WAR is calculated, I think both in Fangraphs and Baseball Reference and whoever else has it, is intentional walks are a strategic move based off of situation, not necessarily based off of the hitter's prowess to draw a walk, which I agree is ridiculous, especially in the case of Judge, because Judge is not being intentionally walked strictly because there's a base open and we want to set up a double play. You're intentionally walking him because he's really good. So you're willing to give up a free base to avoid the risk of him hitting a home run, which adds value to the Yankees. Right? Like on average, an intentional walk is a zero-sum game for the team that gets walked because it's done to hurt you.
Yeah.
But in Judge's case, you're sacrificing... If you're the defensive team, you're sacrificing a base because you're so terrified of this guy. That adds value. It's the same thing with Barry Bonds, where he got intentionally walked all the time. He was actually underrated with his wins above replacement when he was averaging 12 WAR a year.
Even if you take away his intentional walks, he drew a lot of walks.
Well, yeah, because the pitchers pitched around him and he had a good eye.
You're gonna throw it right down the middle to him?
No.
Get it out of the ocean.
A bit of additional context on that Judge intentional walk in the second inning against the Blue Jays. I don't remember the name of the last guy who was walked in that situation, but it was in a situation where the next guy behind him was a pitcher. So they intentionally walked him to get to the pitcher.
This is before the
in
DH
that situation.
existed.
Yes.
Right, but that's a case in point why they would normally say, okay, this is not actually of value to get intentionally walked here because it's done strategically to get out of the inning.
Right, but that's no longer an issue because pitchers don't hit unless you're Shohei Ohtani in a year other than 2024.
It obviously doesn't apply to Aaron Judge, who's being intentionally walked because he's terrifying at the plate.
Yeah.
There's a difference between
Very
that
large
and
man.
just, hey, it's a runner on second with one out and we need a double play.
Yeah.
Let's put the next guy on to set it up.
Yeah.
That's
when you're
not
doing
the
it with
same
2
thing.
outs, you're not going for the double play.
So the extra times that Judge gets walked in those situations are clearly because he's Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Which
Which to me should count for something in your wins above
Barry
replacement.
Bonds got intentionally walked with the bases loaded. A run scored because of that, and he didn't get any value out of it according to his wins above replacement. That's why this is silly. Right?
An RBI, though.
He did get an RBI. That's true. And the Diamondbacks won the game.
Do RBIs count toward wins above replacement?
No, they're not factored in there.
That's so stupid. RBIs are the most important stat in baseball.
The whole point of wins above replacement is to avoid using RBI as an important stat. So, But yeah, there's a flaw there in the stats for exceptional hitters who get intentionally walked outside the context of just conventional strategy.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Judge is so good, right? The conventional strategy rules don't really apply. He's breaking the game.
That's my point.
Sense.
Yeah, but when you have a stat that's kind of calculated one way, it is what it is. That means that it should be adjusted, I believe. It should be taken on a case-by-case basis where it's was he intentionally walked because strategy conventionally, or was he intentionally walked because he's Aaron Judge?
Right.
And I think you can parse that, but it's also difficult when you're just looking at a box score.
Yeah.
Have to watch the tape with you, then.
Yeah.
One other piece of pretty good news for the Yankees is Clark Schmidt threw a live batting practice session today. He hasn't pitched in quite some time, but he was quite effective for us early in the season. And honestly, a lot of our downward trajectory there in the middle of the season kind of started not that long after Schmidt went on the IL. Just that loss from the pitching rotation made a big difference for us. And even though we wound up getting Garrett Cole back soon thereafter, he was not very effective early on, and he's still been very hit or miss in his effectiveness. He's had one or two pretty strong starts, but even in those, he couldn't go deep in the game. He only had like 6 innings pitched in each of them, and he's had several games where he's gotten a little bit lit up.
Yeah.
And he's always been somebody who gives up, a home run or
gives up
two
home runs
almost
sometimes,
every
yeah.
game.
Like Max Scherzer
but
or
he's
Burns.
also allowed teams to string together hits to drive in runs against him, which is very unlike Garrett Cole. So I think that played a big part in the Yankees' recent struggles. So hopefully Schmidt can come back and be effective again. He's likely going to have a rehab start sometime soon, and they've been saying that he could get back into the Yankees rotation at like late August. But we'll have to see what that timetable looks like. He seems to be pretty confident that they can ramp up his pitch count fairly quickly. He says he feels really good.
Evan, was that the first time that you saw Adley's triple where that Cleveland guy blew that play?
I
was
think
great.
so. Yeah,
that was something
he
else.
tripped over his own feet.
He ran in 7 steps. He pulled a Verdugo where he ran in real hard and then he realized it's over his head, and then O'Hearn with an unfortunate toot bland there to basically ruin this inning and help and possibly the evening. But anyway,
Where's Ryan Mountcastle? Did he bat tonight?
he's batting right now.
He's batting now.
Yeah.
It's against the Blue Jays though. Right?
Yeah.
He should be batting leadoff.
He should be batting it, second or third against the Blue Jays, and then like 7th against everybody else.
Well, they traded Yusei Kikuchi.
Well, instead they averaged it out and just put him 6th.
Oh, okay.
I wish I was on Blue Jays Reddit right now. They hate this man, and
For good reason.
I don't blame them because they're showing the stats right now for highest slugging percentage at a visiting ballpark.
In Orioles history.
Yeah, and he's up there for here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so the Orioles are playing. The Yankees are not playing tonight. So, whatever.
Yeah, you guys could get a half game on us. We'll see.
We could lose a half game too.
Yeah.
Just gotta win. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just gotta
Just
win,
win,
games.
baby.
Just win the game, like Mark Turgeon said in a timeout one time.
Yeah.
That was his advice to the team.
It's great advice, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the point?
Yeah, very helpful advice. It gives
I could have provided that advice. and been
It
paid
provides
$3 million
very
a year.
specific direction on what you should do to accomplish it.
And it narrows it down with a just. It's like, just do this.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else. Just win the game.
Yeah. You don't have to think about anything other than everything that's going to contribute to winning the game. Which I'm not going to share with you right now.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because I don't know the answer.
Next flight you
Pretty
get on,
much.
just peek in the cockpit door. Like, hey, just fly the plane. That's all you have to do.
And land
All
it
those-
safely.
All those buttons and levers and blinking lights and stuff. Just fly the plane.
And don't crash it into the runway like at LAX when we landed in
Oh
LA
my
in
goodness,
2023.
that was brutal.
That was rough.
Yeah.
Got some nice airtime.
Did we though?
Oh, we got more airtime than I-305.
At the time, yeah,
Yeah.
but just sort of right on the ground. Like, oh, we landed.
How do you spell that for the title?
I briefly left my seat.
Oh, okay.
So,
I might have been left my seat out of being startled. Oh, okay. He's out
he's
still.
out. Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Oh, I guess he didn't field it cleanly.
Oh, okay.
I think it would have had him if Vladdy had picked it. Vladdy's been really good this year. I got to give him credit.
On defense?
No, just at baseball.
He's done a little bit better on defense recently, but he's still not particularly good on
Yeah,
defense.
his bat
but
has
his
picked back
batting
up.
has picked up significantly
'Cause,
over the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Because last year he was a good-ish hitter, which doesn't make up for
He
being...
might have been out.
which
I think
does-
he did pick it cleanly. I just thought he beat it out.
Oh, well, we'll see what they decide to do.
Yeah.
Oh, Eloy Jimenez, shout out to him.
Yeah. A guy who leaves the White Sox and is red hot since getting to Baltimore.
Yeah, and
What is he, like 6 for 8?
something like that, yeah. And he was also such a lazy player for them, and it was just like, yeah, if this guy was on my team and we were 27 and 85 or whatever they are, I would hate him too. I don't know if they're gonna be able to return that one. Maybe. I think he's out, but
I think he is too.
again, I've seen closer or less close plays. Yeah, he's definitely out.
Yeah.
It's when it's in the back of the glove. It's in the back of the glove. What did there
Yeah, okay.
What did David Cohn say? Where it's like it just has to be in the glove, even if it's not touching, and he was clearly lying. Yeah, he was.
But I was looking it up, and I don't think I saw anything that specifically says back in the glove.
It said the glove has to be closing on the ball, which implies that the ball's.
Oh well, Vladdy's glove was not closing on the ball yet.
Which whatever. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know.
Mountcastle was out.
Yeah,
You know.
they rolled him out. I think it was the right call.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Anything else on the Yankees, Corey?
No, just I guess we have a little bit more some sad news on the baseball front today. Billy Beane.
Yes.
This is
Not
not
Moneyball
This is
Billy
not
Beane,
Moneyball
yes.
Billy Beane, which threw me off initially.
I remember.
Because I was like, I'm pretty sure that Billy Beane has an E at the end of his
does.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but yes, Billy Beane died today. He was the league's senior vice president of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I was not aware that he had leukemia, but he'd been dealing with it for the better part of the past year, and passed away today. He was 60 years old, but really sad. He was, I think, the second former baseball player to ever come out as gay. Definitely a very impactful player during his career, but also former player after his career, in just spreading awareness of different people that maybe we weren't always as aware of in sports, and that maybe have not been as accepted in sports or in society over the past many decades and centuries. So big loss for baseball.
Yeah, I remember when he was hired to that position, which is why I knew immediately who he was, and was, fortunately not confused about, which Billy Beane he was, because I remember reading about him getting that job and how big of a deal it was at the time, and how that kind of, brought some exposure to, inclusivity and, being aware of the fact that, we talked about it a little bit in football when Michael Sam was drafted. We've talked about it a little bit with basketball, but baseball's kind of been mum on this topic a lot. He was kind of the first and really the only prominent figure to be, at the forefront of, baseball as it kind of move into the 21st century and, being more accepting of people. And, it was a big deal at the time because, like, back then it was, you might think, well, that wasn't that long ago, but gay marriage was illegal at a federal level not that long ago, right? It wasn't until 2015 that the Supreme Court made that ruling. So we are living in, different times than the vast majority of the existence of baseball. So, it does matter, and he was a big part of the reason why, things have moved forward. Baseball, like we talked about it, every team except for one has a Pride Night. And, a big part of the reason why something like that can happen is because you include people like Billy Beane and make him a key member of basically your baseball front office, right? Like he's the vice president of baseball. That matters.
Yeah. I don't really have anything else to add. Simone Biles, the U.S. won the women's all-around gold medal. Is that what happened?
Yes.
I'll admit I haven't been watching.
You haven't been watching the Olympics.
I've been working, at my job.
Okay, what are you doing at 8:00 at night when it's on prime time with Mike Tirico?
I'm either watching the Orioles or playing Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Well,
on Saturday.
we only get this for 16 days every 4 years.
Well, the last Summer Olympics was only 3 years ago, so
That's true.
Which it's kind of been annoying to me throughout this Olympics that they keep referring to it as 2020. Like when they show somebody won a gold in Tokyo, it says 2020. I'm like, it wasn't in 2020. It just wasn't.
It's like the Bill Burr. It's the Monday morning podcast on a Thursday. like that's what it is. Yeah.
Or Sunday Night Football on Thursday for the season opener in the NFL.
Yeah.
Or on Thanksgiving.
Or Monday Night Football does that during the preseason as well, when they have like a Saturday game or something. It's like,
But yes, so Simone Biles helped the U.S. women's gymnastics team win the team all-around gold medal. I mean, she was a huge part of it, but I mean, everybody was. Jordan Childs was fantastic. Suni Lee was fantastic. I can't remember Jade's last name off the top of my head, but she was really good. And then the fifth girl who was just there as an alternate and still got a medal. Good for her.
Was just there.
Yeah.
just still got to go to Paris and
Got
win
to
a
go
gold,
to
so,
Paris,
yeah.
gets a medal.
You're on the team.
She was on the team. Yeah. So no, I mean that was a really fun competition to watch. Simone Biles also won gold for the I believe it was the uneven bars. Because then she wound up falling off of the balance beam yesterday. Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of competitors fell off the balance beam yesterday, which was pretty surprising. But
it was all in the same spot on the beam too.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm amazed that more people don't fall off of that thing.
Yeah,
fall off it. Just I wouldn't even be able to get on it.
I could get up there and stand.
But Simone's was kind of interesting because she was in the middle of 3 consecutive back flips. She had to bail after the second one, but she just kind of like took a step back and then like almost just stepped off. Bizarre, like obviously she had lost her balance. She knew she wasn't going to get it back, so she went down. I understand that, but just visually it looked weird. So that was a bummer. And then she didn't do quite enough to beat Rebecca Andrade in the floor routine finals.
She got dinged for a couple of out of bounds.
Yeah, she had 2 out of bounds where both feet went out of bounds. That was 0.6 of a point right there, which made the difference for her. Because otherwise she would have won gold. But hats off to Rebecca Andrade. It was a really cool picture of her and Jordan Childs, who wound up getting bronze because Team USA submitted an inquiry on her score when she would have been 5th, behind 2 girls from Romania, I believe, who tied for 3rd. And they got a 10th of a point back, and that was enough to put Jordan Childs in bronze position. But the two of them, nice photo where they were kind of supporting, bowing to Rebecca Andrade, who got the gold medal. I like that all of it's sort of like if you're a big track fan and you watch the multi events, the decathlon, the heptathlon. These athletes, they're going up against each other, but because they do so many events with each other over the course of 2 days, and everybody has a different specialty. Some of them are really good in the long jump. Some of them are really good in the 800 or the 1500 meter run. Some of them are really good in the shot put. Like they just there's this camaraderie about it where they're all, giving each other high fives, hugging each other, cheering for each other throughout the competition. And I saw a lot of that, especially from the women in gymnastics. Yep. And I really enjoy that. I know that there's some people out there who are like, you should never give that kind of respect to your competitors. We're USA all the way. I'm not about that. Like these are people who know each other outside of the Olympics. Like just because we only tune into this for 2 months out of the year, and I include myself in that. I don't watch gymnastics outside of this time every 4 years.
When is it on television to watch?
I'm sure that there are places where you can watch
ACC Network.
I couldn't tell you where. Maybe
way down the dial somewhere.
I occasionally see a clip of like if Simone Biles does something amazing, it'll go on.
Sure, you might see a clip on social media, but we're not actually watching a full competition at any time other than this. No. I certainly am not.
No.
But I still recognize that these are people who are competing with each other year round, year after year. They know each other. They have relationships with each other, and they have rivalries. But some of them, they can still be respectful to each other, and they can still recognize, oh, this is a nice person. Rebecca Andrade seems like a nice person. Simone Biles is a very nice person. I like seeing them supporting each other out there.
Can still be respectful? No, should still be respectful.
Yes.
Right?
I think they should be, but you take my point.
Yeah, there's a major problem with the subset of Americans and people around the world where sportsmanship is somehow going out of vogue. where it's like
Yeah.
you can't be respectful of your opponent. You got to show people up and talk smack. I'm like, you can do that if you want, but it's not the only way to do things, and it's certainly not the way that I'd want, children to just be like, oh, let me go out there as a 6-year-old and stunt on you because I made a shot over you or something. It's like, no, be respectful.
Even
okay?
if you look at somebody like Noah Lyles, for example, right, who just won the 100-meter dash, and that was an insane race.
That was,
5 thousandths of a second is that's just incredible.
I also don't know what the cameraman was doing. Like, that was a terrible angle of the finish. And they
could tell. I could tell.
But you're like you, okay? You do this, and the broadcast couldn't tell. They were saying that Lyles finished second.
Yeah, I don't know how they
I
thought
feel
that,
like if
but-
you're the camera person for the 100 meters, there's only one place to stand. Like,
Yeah, it's at the finish line with the right angle.
yeah, like that's why we're here. You know, like, yeah, it's great to see the guys line up in their little stance and stuff
Yeah,
with their
they go
fingers right behind the paint
They stick
or
their
whatever.
asses in the air. I know it's always about to be go time. Let's
Yeah.
go.
But
Yeah.
even like you look at Noah Lyles, and we've seen him talking a little bit of smack this week. Like,
And last year.
and last. I mean, that's something he does, but a lot of that is really just like hyping himself
His
up.
bravado, yeah.
We've also seen him. If you watched during the opening ceremonies, he was interviewed when Team USA was getting ready to get on the boat to ride down the Seine, and he's a very humble guy. Like, he can be very humble too.
Sure.
When you can have that balance, I think that's important. It's not smack talking your competition all the time. There's a time and a place to do that, and it's just as you're leading into the competition, you're trying to hype yourself up, and then you got to make sure you back it up too.
No, you got to win. You better win.
which he did.
He had a lot to back up, not just from his own peers in sprinting game. He had drawn the ire of a place that doesn't matter but pretends it matters, and that's NBA Twitter. And this is because I believe last year during the FIBA World Championships, Noah Lyles basically unprompted said, he scoffed when talking about his own competitive, events that he does, where he just randomly brought up the fact that it's like, yeah, the NBA, they call themselves world champions. Like, champions of what? Like, basically said, you're not champions of the world. There's only one country, really, I guess two, that compete in the NBA, and the fact that Toronto
Yes.
Raptors exist. But it's like, that's not the world. And, of course, NBA Twitter was like, for all intents and
is the
purposes,
world.
it is, because
Yeah.
these are the best
It's the
players
best
in the
league.
world.
But let's let's take the Boston Celtics. Could the Boston Celtics go to the Olympics and beat all the other teams?
Absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
I think they would blow them out, yeah. Like, are you
They
talking
have
about
all NBA players.
I'm saying it's only the Boston Celtics players. This is not like the best of the NBA that we put together to make Team
I
USA.
understand. You're saying if we took the Boston Celtics and replaced them with Team USA.
All the way
Replace
around.
Team USA with the Boston
Yeah, I'm
Celtics,
sorry,
but
yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
So the Boston Celtics are now your representation as
yes,
Team USA.
that's what I'm asking.
They would still be heavy favorites to win the gold.
You think so?
They have all
I know
NBA
so.
players.
There's 3 guys on the Boston Celtics on the Olympic team.
Well, yes, but the rest of the team is not, including the depth, including the people who have to come off the bench at
They're
some
still
point
in the
during game.
NBA.
Well, yes.
All the other countries don't have a roster
Okay,
entirely
but
made up of NBA
But
players.
here's a lot. There are other countries that have multiple
Some.
NBA
Okay,
players.
yes.
None of them
And the
have more.
Celtics have all NBA
None of them
Yeah.
have more than one who's top 15, but they all
this-
have NBA players.
I mean, this is like asking
most
if
of
the
them.
Cleveland Browns would lose to Alabama. Like, just,
I don't know.
there's
if
all
it's the same
NFL
thing.
guys on one side, and then some of the guys on the other side.
I think the
Like
gap
over the league.
between the NBA and like FIBA is less than between the NFL and college football.
Oh well, yeah, but
All right. So
it's analogous.
So, what percentage of the top 500 players in the world are competing in this Olympic Games? Just take a guess. 'Cause I have
Of the
answer.
top 500.
Yeah, because there's 144 players. There's 12 teams and 12 players on each.
I guessed all of it, but
You
Well,
would be wrong.
if there's 144 players, then it can't be all the top 500 players.
no,
in
but
it.
out of those 144, how many
are in the top 500, I would guess at least 60%.
I'd say,
36%.
oh,
Really? It's only
That's it?
36?
You know how I know that? Because only 36% of the players are in the NBA among the active players in this tournament. And of course, 12 of those players play for Team USA. So, yeah. And how many?
But what's the percentage of Boston Celtics that are? Well, I guess they
That
would
are in
all.
the
I guess
NBA,
they. I guess
all
they
of
would all be
them.
top
Yeah.
500
Yes.
players. But
That's what I said.
They're
They're all in
okay.
the NBA.
Jason Tatum is a top 10 player in basketball.
Oh, good grief.
Is
He
he?
is.
Is he?
I'm-
He absolutely
I mean,
Is he?
not that I disagree. I'm just tired of hearing about him.
Well, you're gonna have to hear about him here because we're talking about Team USA.
I'm gonna argue that he's not top 20.
Well, that's not a good argument, Corey. That's just not correct.
I think it is.
He's your son. He's about to be a big brother. Like, what's wrong with you? But anyway, did they call that a strike?
Yes.
Oh my god. Yeah, so
was in the zone.
Jason Jason Tatum's a top 10 player. Jaylen Brown's in the top 20-ish. Drew Holiday and Tingus Pingus. Would he be a member of Team USA? He's not American. How does this work? I guess he would have to be because he's supposedly the NBA only represents the United States and not the world. Yeah.
That's an interesting question there. Like, do you, like if it would be the Boston Celtics minus Tingus Pingus, maybe?
Even if you take away Tingus Pingus, the Celtics are still going to win. Are still heavy favorites to win the gold.
Even if you take away their Pingus.
Yes, they won the championship basically without him. But anyway, like whether or not you talk about world champion versus NBA champion, yeah, you could make that semantic argument that.
So
it's not
would
world
you?
championship.
So
I mean,
if we replace Team USA with the Wizards,
But the Wizards didn't win the title.
I feel like the Wizards would screw
I'm just
up.
I'm just asking you,
despite
how
being the
important
best
is
team.
it that all the players be top 500 players?
It matters some. That Wizards team would
If
hang.
but if it doesn't, if it is not paramount, then I'm not buying it.
Not Paramount, you compared the worst team in the NBA. What are we talking about? Okay, so let me just put it this way, okay? Being a world champion is not as impressive as being an NBA champion. It's not. Because the NBA is a better league. I just illustrated that to you.
Okay, but
So who cares?
This is the best league in the
don't
world.
call it world. I don't know.
Fine,
Whatever.
call it
Whatever.
NBA champion because it's
Whatever.
better.
Okay.
They would say, like, a lot of soccer leagues would say the same stuff compared to the World Cup. It's more impressive to win a UEFA Champions League than it is to win a World Cup. And they're probably right. And that's a sport where there's a bunch of different leagues with a bunch of really good players.
Does the MLS champion call themselves world champion?
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know either.
They shouldn't, because that would
Yeah,
be
that's-
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the Champions League also is not like relegated to one country.
No.
What about the Prem?
But
Is
the
that the
Pre-
best
like,
league?
Same with the Premier
Or
League.
If the,
It's not
if, the
one
English,
country.
if the English Premier League said, hey, we're going to crown ourselves world champions,
Go
I wouldn't
for it.
care, because it's the best league in the world. Yeah, it is. And they've at least got competition for that title. La Liga, Bundesliga, you know, Juventus or whatever, the PSG, you know, there's all kinds of stuff.
Right,
The
like-
NBA has no competition.
Like the best team in the world is not even in the. I'm assuming the English Premier League is only English teams,
Yeah.
so they don't even have like the best two teams in the world.
Who are the best two?
I'd rather have Barcelona or Real Madrid.
No, that's definitely wrong. Manchester City would crush them. Who's on Barcelona that's good?
I don't know people's names. I just know that they're
You
really
not
good.
even know they're good.
You realize that Lionel Messi's not on their team anymore, right? And you realize Cristiano Ronaldo doesn't play for Real Madrid
Well,
anymore.
Messi is like in like the
He plays in
MLS
the
now.
MLS, yeah. So
I knew that.
Then lead
He's
them
like
to a
in
world
Miami or
championship.
something.
Yeah. But anyway,
Is that right? Miami? Is that where he's
yeah,
at?
Inter
Sure.
Miami or whatever it's called, which is I don't know. I don't care about the MLS. I don't care about soccer.
Man,
right? Like,
now that would be hilarious. The MLS champion calling themselves world champion.
that would be rich. Yes.
What I said to illustrate the point.
Yes, like that would be ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, Messi came here for a retirement tour. Like he
Yeah,
just,
he's just hanging out having fun.
and he's the best player in the league by far and away.
Yeah. Let's see. U.S. men's hoops rolled Brazil. I mean, we kind of covered that. Djokovic wins gold in men's singles. I'm not happy about that, just because I can't stand
I don't
Djokovic.
really like. I'm not really giving it enough like thought to care that much.
I mean, I don't
It's
care either.
mildly annoying,
Yeah.
but whatever.
Like, when he got kicked out of Australia, they should have just dropped him in the ocean somewhere. Like, not send him back home. Like, no, you just swim.
Get him out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Imagine you do that, and then he shows up and he wins like 23 gold medals in swimming at the Olympics.
I mean, he'll have earned it at that point. right?
A landlocked country. I don't think that's gonna happen. Anyway,
Yes.
so the only thing that intrigued me about this is just the fact, and I knew this, the fact that prior to this, Novak Djokovic had never medaled at the Olympics. He had never even earned a bronze.
It's just pretty crazy.
How?
Yeah.
As good as of a tennis player as he's been.
Yeah, he's been one of the 3 best.
Like at
tennis
this point,
players.
he's past his prime, and this is when he wins gold.
I mean, because Rafael Nadal wasn't in the field, and Roger Federer wasn't in the field, and a bunch of people that were better than him or as good as him weren't in the field.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been a top 3 player in tennis since like 2008, since Beijing. So he's competed in now, I guess it'll be 6 Olympics since turning pro. Do I have that number right? Maybe only 5. 8, 12, 16,
5.
20, and yeah, so this is his 5th one. Again, first one that he's actually medaled in, and of course he wins gold. But it's just kind of crazy because remember he didn't medal obviously in 2008. 2012 he lost in the bronze medal match to Juan Martín del Potro from Argentina. 2016 I don't know what happened in Rio. I don't know why he didn't medal in that one. He might have actually been injured. And 2020 he had a
2021.
Yes, the 2020 Olympics and 2021. He had a fit where he got disqualified from the bronze medal match because he threw his racket into an empty crowd and then into the net, and they just said, all right, you're done. And then he quit on his doubles partner, which,
Oh,
like
okay.
Roger Federer won gold. Roger Federer never won gold at the Olympics. He only won a silver medal once, but he did win gold in doubles.
Oh.
So he did win gold at the Olympics,
he
just
didn't
not
win singles,
individually. Got it.
Yeah, he didn't win
Okay.
in singles.
Okay.
But he won gold in doubles. Rafael Nadal won gold in 2008 at Beijing.
Oh, okay. The Orioles are, playing a bunch of Blue Jays who I've never heard of.
And you get ranking points for winning gold in the Olympics. It affects your ATP.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Where's Bo Bichette? Did he get traded and I
No.
missed it? Is
No,
he
he's
hurt?
still there. He's just probably not in there for some reason. I don't know. He's been terrible this year.
Yeah, he's been pretty
okay.
bad.
Which
He seemed to be coming out of it, and then went right back.
he's
into
gonna
being
wait until
bad.
the fantasy season is over, and then he's gonna start hitting home runs because that's what he did for me 2 years.
Probably, but he's been off my team for a long time.
I know. It should have been my team 2 years ago. He's just out there. Evan and I were at Carowinds. I'm just like, Bo Bichette once again. He's just sitting there striking out every time. And then the season's over, and he comes to Oriole Park, and it's 3 home runs in a game, and I'm just like,
I've won 10 games in a row somehow. I've won my division. I'm going back to the playoffs for the 4th straight year.
I didn't do that.
No, you did not.
No.
I didn't do
I'm
anything.
not looking.
I won 2 games?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's 2 more. Than
You
I
could win
probably
again
deserved.
this week. You're playing against Evan. You beat him
Oh,
once
really?
this season.
I did beat Evan once this year.
Yeah.
I actually
okay.
tried that time too.
Yeah. Maybe you
'Cause I
should
won.
try again.
I should get a 3rd win. Is the regular season over? Or are we actually in the
This is the
post?
last regular season
Okay.
game.
Oh, okay. Well. Oh, well. Katie Ledecky won
A bunch of
something.
stuff.
Yeah. She's a queen.
It says Queen-een.
Yeah, it
in
does
here.
say queenine.
Oh, that's weird.
Somebody put an extra N in there.
Oh, that's
yeah,
probably
no.
because I put that in there.
Yeah. Katie Ledecky is a beast.
Oh yeah.
She won her 9th gold medal, which is the most by any female American Olympian of all time. I think it's tied for the most by any female Olympian of all time, if I'm remembering that correctly. The 1500 and the 800 meter free, she just killed it. The 1500 free was not close. She finished and there was nobody else in the camera for a good
Yeah.
second
They
or
might as
two
well have been in a
before
different
somebody
pool
finally got
entirely.
in there. Basically, the 800 was much more interesting because Titmus from Australia went out with her and stuck with her for the first 600 meters or so, and the announcer on the broadcast kept saying if Titmus can stay with her and she's right there at the 600, she might beat Ledecky for gold. But I don't think that he took into account that it's not like Katie Ledecky was taking it easy out there. In order to be that close to Ledecky at the 600, Titmus was really using a lot of energy. And
Still 200 meters left.
yeah, and she wore
up and back
she
twice.
she wore herself out, and she
Really?
couldn't stay with Ledecky down the stretch. Which, no kidding, she almost lost silver to another American.
I mean, that's like the horse that was running sort of neck and neck with Secretariat at the Belmont, and then it's just Secretariat won by like 38 lengths or something
Oh,
ridiculous like that.
thought you were gonna mention the horse that bucked its rider in one of the races and was just running.
That was awesome. I love that. He just took off and went. He was, I'm still running this race. But
Yeah. Look at all these other guys running around. Let's have some fun.
yeah, I'm going with him. Yeah, that was awesome. Was that at the Preakness?
I think
I
so.
think it was at the Preakness. That was great. I love that. That made me so happy.
But yeah, I mean, like Ledecky is just in a class of her own in those distance races. She is so good; nobody can touch her.
How do you?
Yeah.
I mean, there's 1,609 meters in a mile. How do you swim almost a mile at a swim racing pace? Like that is incredible.
The thought of doing that makes me sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine swimming for that long.
Now, keep in mind that just like in running, like your pace changes based on how far you're running. Like if you watch Ledecky in the 800 versus the 1500, you watch like her kicks, like the way that her legs are moving in the pool.
Oh.
Like she's got a constant, just kind of beat of the drum, not super fast, but a consistent leg kick through the 800. When you watch her in the 1500, and I know the people are watching at home can't really see this, but it's like small kick, small kick, small
have
kick.
people watching at
Like
home.
her legs are barely moving. It's just like every few seconds she'll give like one little kick with her legs, and then she'll alternate and kick the other side a few seconds later. It's not like she's not kicking constantly through the whole thing because it is a really long race.
Have they
Now,
ever had races like that, like in a lake somewhere, where you can just swim straight for a mile? I just.
I mean,
wonder
I'm
that.
sure there are places where, like,
Amusing of mine.
if you do like the triathlon,
Yeah,
right?
swimming
If you
in
do
the
the triathlon,
Seine.
you tend to well, yeah, some people
Yeah.
swim in the Seine, like,
nasty.
unless you swam in the Seine a few days earlier and developed an
Got
infection from
sick, yeah.
Which
It was
happens.
polluted, yeah.
Yeah.
It's gross.
But yes, like if you have a triathlon somewhere, like they have triathlons around here from time to time. They'll have places where you're like swimming in an open body of water. You're not swimming in a pool for that portion of your race. Yeah, like they do a triathlon somewhere out on the Eastern Shore every year. My parents were telling me about it a couple months ago, and it's something that I'm considering maybe trying to like train toward doing in a year or two.
Oh, I feel like if I was like lap swimming that far, I would lose count of how many laps I'm supposed to go. Like I would just forget. I feel like that's the hardest part.
I feel like that is difficult because with track you can like you want to count your laps yourself, but you do have a lap counter there in a
I mean,
pool.
at
like
least
like
your head
like
is
they don't
out of
have
water.
anything in the floor of the pool to show you how many laps you have left, and you're not looking up in front of you. Now, I would imagine that they might have somebody like one of the people who's leaning over the wall. Maybe they yell how many laps they have left. I don't know. I've never been. I've been to swim meets occasionally, but I've never been there watching a long distance event where they would do that to know whether that's a thing that happens. But yeah, that's a big reason why a lot of longer distance swim events that you would see, particularly during a triathlon, are going to be in an open body of water where you just have a route that you have to like swim around certain buoys or something.
Well, I think they also mentioned on the broadcast that they said that when racing the 1,500 meters that Katie Ledecky admitted that she does let her mind wander at times just because the monotony of just swimming.
It's a
And I'm
long
like,
time.
Could you
in the
imagine
pool.
swimming in an Olympic event and you're just like,
I'm bored.
wonder what I'm having for dinner tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh right, yeah, I gotta win this gold.
I mean,
I'm the only one here.
Yeah.
Like, everybody else is way back there,
So-
smoking people.
so just like to kind of give you an idea of like what this means. So today the men's 1,500 meter run was contested at the Olympics, and the winner was an American, by the way. Hocker ran 3:27, which is an Olympic record.
Wait, what?
3 minutes and 27 seconds
That's pretty fast.
for 3 3/4 laps on an outdoor track.
Yeah.
I mean, was he
See,
on a
see,
bike or a horse or
my
something?
PR,
Oh my God.
my PR for the 1,500, which granted was in high school. Like if I continued to train for that in college, it would have gotten a little bit faster. But it was 4:02. I was a pretty good runner. I was never gonna get down to
You couldn't shave
3:30.
40 more seconds off?
Right, like another 35 seconds. Like that was never gonna happen for me. That is insane. Katie Ledecky does the same distance in a pool in 15 minutes and 40 seconds. That's a long time to swim. That's a long time to do anything.
Yeah.
Like, you think about a 5K. When you watch the Olympic 5,000 meter run.
Oh, they have that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll have to look up what the women's 5,000 meter time was, but typically,
I feel like the Olympics shouldn't have competitions that normal humans can do, right? Like anybody can just run a 5K somewhere. You're probably not going to be nearly as fast as the people in the Olympics, but it seems like that's too easy of a comparison between Olympians and us mere mortals.
okay, but the time is where the differentiation is, and that's
run it like
why it
10
does kind of
minutes.
make sense to do things that normal people can do, but they're doing it so much better, right? So again, 15 minutes and 30 seconds for Katie Ledecky the other day. It's an Olympic record. It wasn't her fastest time ever.
Oh, okay.
But it was an Olympic
Taking it
record,
easy on
and it won
people.
her gold. The women's 5,000 meter run, I believe, was run yesterday, and Beatrice Chabet from Kenya won it. Her time was 14 minutes and 28 seconds.
Oh.
She ran a 5K, which, Evan, you know what a 5K is. You've run it before, so you're familiar with the distance.
Yes.
She ran that faster than Katie Ledecky runs swims less than a mile.
Oh my God.
That's how
wild.
long the 1,500 meter swim is.
Very long.
It's a very
1,500
long
meters.
time. It's no wonder that she lets her mind wander a little bit when she's
My
racing.
mind wanders if it's,
And she's
idle
so
for
good
10
that she, like
seconds.
that it's, I would bet that if she had a close competitor where, like, she's got her head in the water, she kind of like sees out of the corner of her eye like the splashing of somebody right next to her, her mind would not wander in that situation.
What if she's
But she
lapped
is
somebody?
always so far ahead. Well, that's the thing. Like, she might be lapping somebody and like kind of like regain her focus because she sees that. But when she's lapping somebody, she's also putting her in the rear view very quickly.
Just passing that person.
Yes. So
Right
she's
by.
not going to see that person next to her for very long.
No.
So she doesn't have anybody to like worry about. She's like, well, I've got this in the bag. I can just kind of chill.
Yeah.
Still breaking world records doing it though. So
Yeah.
not chilling
Just
that.
leisurely swimming at the Y or something,
Yeah, just doing
winning
laps.
Olympic gold medals. That's incredible. I mean, if you couldn't tell already, we've run out of stuff on our sheet here. So, is there anything else even happening?
I mean, Olympic basketball is still going on, and the U.S. is on to the semifinals now.
Yeah, they just trounced Brazil today. So
Yep. Volleyball, I believe the men beat Poland today.
Yeah.
3 sets to none. So
beach
they're
vo-
moving on.
The beach volleyball lady tandem lost to Switzerland. And,
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Swiss team was really good though. So like,
Switzerland tends to have a pretty
no,
good.
no shade there. They were. It was
Swiss
really well
beach
played.
volleyball team.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again,
Speaking of landlocked countries.
nation. Well, you're not in the drink. You're just in the sand. So
Oh,
you know.
okay. I mean, it's like a Swiss manufacturer coming up with a surfing roller coaster, for example.
Apparently, it's good.
Yeah, apparently.
That's good.
What do they know about surfing?
They're making a ride that's sort of what they pretend is surfing. You know?
Oh,
I watched a little bit of judo the other day. I have
Judo.
no idea how the scoring works in that.
They just throw
It's
people around in
interesting,
that.
basically.
So, you know,
I've watched some ping pong. The table tennis is fun.
yeah.
It's crazy that like people can be that good at table tennis.
Do you think Anthony Edwards can win a point?
I don't know. After watching those
Yeah,
guys,
exactly,
like
that's
I
what I'm
I would
saying.
have to see Anthony Edwards with a paddle in his hand to like definitively say no. But
Assume
it's
he's like
hard.
a
But
normie with
it's
a paddle.
hard to imagine that he would be. I mean, he talks up a game that would suggest he's not a normie.
Right, like, but a normie that's good at ping pong, like somebody that you could see.
Like
Well,
I've
you
played
would
ping pong
understand
against
this, the
you,
banning
so like
rule.
I know like how good you are at ping pong. You're solid. Like
I'm a
you're
pretty good
you're
ping
pretty
pong
you're a pretty
player,
decent ping pong player. I don't think you would win a point.
No, I wouldn't.
in
I
the
know I wouldn't
Olympics.
because I'm not an idiot. You know, like,
Oh, okay.
I was
Where did this Anthony
You,
Edwards go
you'll
to
smoke
school at?
me. You'll smoke me. I might get an occasional point on you.
You would, yeah, because I would mess up.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the thing is like I feel like the only way I would get a point on an Olympic level ping pong player is if they messed up, and they never mess up. Right? Like they don't just blow a serve like my dad does, right? You know, where it's just I just hit that one to the net. Oopsie, let's try again. And no, it's
No, ain't no oopsie at the Olympic
no,
level.
it's not happening. They're getting the ball in play, and I have to return, and then they're spiking it or whatever. I got no shot. They stand like 10 feet behind the table.
Yeah.
When was the last time you ever saw me play ping pong like that? It never
No,
doesn't
it's
happen.
the other side of the room.
Yeah, he's like, I'm all the way back here having to return this stuff. Like, again, I'm a pretty good ping pong player. I would have washed all those people in Oakland. But,
Sure.
you know,
Okay.
Yeah,
You
I-
refuse
So you
to get on the
say.
table.
better things.
Refused.
It's
Better
easier.
things to
It's
do in
easier to
Oakland.
talk a big
Yeah.
game than to play a
Okay.
big game.
I was watching a baseball game.
You're too busy reminiscing on our great day at Discovery Kingdom. Like,
It was a great day. Had a lot of stories
oh, okay.
about how terrible it was.
Oh.
I've watched a little
never forget
bit
it.
of I've watched a little bit of the boxing. That's been interesting.
Yeah.
They should have horse racing at the Olympics.
Well, they have equestrian.
They
They don't
do
have
have
horse
equestrian,
racing, but they do have equestrian. So
Well,
like
I mean, horses already
horse
compete.
jumping and
you know.
stuff.
Let's run around a little
The
bit.
horses should get the medals.
The horses should get the medals.
Yes, they should.
Yeah.
That makes sense too.
Yeah. I like there is an Olympian in equestrian who competed and won a medal in her 7th Olympic Games this
She
year.
was like in '92. She was competing. At one
Yeah,
point.
she's in her
Jeez.
50s or I think at least 50s.
Yeah, she
like
was-
52.
I hope so.
Yeah.
If she's been
Let's get this right, guys.
okay, can we execute?
Oh, he quit.
He's like just like taking his
Yeah, he
gloves
quit,
off. He's
yeah.
like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not doing
Yeah.
this.
Have I watched anything else? I'm sure there's some other stuff that I've watched and just some
What
like
about handball or something?
I've caught like a little bit of a game or two, but I'm not really big on the Olympic handball. Honestly, I like the water polo better.
I was
and I've
watching
watched a
some
little
water
bit of that.
polo, and I'm curious about.
Water polo is so brutal. Like you don't see every so often they'll show an underwater view, and you're like, holy cow! Like you cannot tell from the above water view just how much is going on under the water. Like these guys are getting mauled, especially like you do not want to be the person who's like right in front of the net. Like that guy is getting just absolutely like just beaten every single time that you've got the ball on the offensive side.
I'm also
feel
curious why they cradle the ball like
Like
lacrosse,
lacrosse?
which is a fake sport.
Oh.
But yeah. Like,
Well,
just-
so I don't think it's so much like it
Like, do they need to
looks
do
like
that?
visually it looks a lot like cradling, but I think it's more about trying to keep like the defense not knowing like which way you're going to pass the ball,
Okay, so
or
it's
are
like
you going to shoot. So it's really more of like this, and it's kind of like it's like Peyton
It's-
Manning in the pocket where like he was constantly keeping his feet moving so that he could very quickly transition into a throw. It's the same thing where
Throw
like
it right to
you're,
Ed Reed
you're,
anyway.
you're basically just like you're winding up your shot over and over again until you're ready to actually shoot.
I think sometimes Peyton was just getting nervous in the pocket. To be honest, some of those were happy feet.
I mean, it's possible, but like they also taught like he has said that it was a conscious decision, like it was something he trained himself to be able to do, so that he could quickly step into a throw.
Train himself to
But
throw it
either
right to
way,
Ed
I
Reed.
think a big part of like that
Ty
arm
Law.
movement with the ball in
Yeah.
water polo is you're just winding up your shot over and
It's
over
just
again
something to kind of keep
to,
the defense guessing.
to keep them guessing, so that when you are ready to shoot it, you're like already in that position.
Evan, would you do this thing they're doing on the CN Tower?
No.
Yeah, that's a little too. That's a little
What
much
are
for
they
me.
doing?
You never seen that
Rappelling.
where they did they actually recline or they? I think they just hang out with like.
Oh, I thought they like.
I mean,
shimmied
they're
down the
definitely
whole
like
thing.
buckled in with the what are they called?
Harness.
Well, the harness,
carabiner?
the carabiner,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, so but like from what I've seen, they do is they hook into like the the top of the tower
Mm-hmm.
and they just kind of like lean out
Oh, interesting.
off the edge, which not really for me.
Oh, okay.
Rashonda was
Vertigo would
she was in
kick in big
Chicago like a year ago, and one of those towers, it's not the Willis Tower, but one of the others has like a floor where you can go to it and you lean against the window and it actually like
Yeah.
tilts out.
Yeah.
Like she did that, and she said it was kind of nerve-wracking.
Like Ferris Bueller,
Yeah.
except that it actually.
But
tilts.
like with that, you actually have glass in front of you and like it's secured in there. Whereas with this, like it's just
You're
like,
hanging by a
this
thread.
Yes.
harness. Yeah.
Yeah, and the wind's blowing possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, it's 1,000 feet up in the air.
There's definitely wind.
It's definitely win. You could always see like the little bat costumes they have flapping around. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's for me. Like, when I go to tops of buildings, like Empire State Building's fine because you're kind of like in a cage.
Yeah.
I've never been up there.
The top of the Rock is a little like it's just not a cage. So
They have an amusement ride up there now.
at the top of the Rock,
Yeah, It's
really,
like that
at
picture.
the top.
I don't know about
on the
at the
roof?
top.
The tippy top?
It's
So you never
at the
stop?
observation thing. you pay extra, like that picture of the guy sitting on that beam.
Yeah, eating lunch,
Yeah,
which I thought was fake. But
They built another one of those where it's just a beam and you sit on it and rise up in the air a little bit and then go back down.
I always assumed that picture was too old to be fake.
well, I think maybe not fake, but staged, like so that it looks like that.
Yeah, it was staged. But,
Yeah.
But
I think he was actually like very high in the air.
yes, they're
And they were chilling, and they could have
Just
easily
eating
slipped
lunch.
off and fallen down into the abyss. Aim for the bushes.
the abyss, the street,
Yeah, the abyss of New York City, Midtown
the
New York.
plaza,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Just on the Today Show.
You just all of a sudden, you just plop. It's like,
Huh, what was that?
yeah,
I wonder how Jimmy Fallon would handle that.
He'd probably handle
He'd
it
be
about as
laughing
terribly as he handles
hysterically.
everything.
Right? He's always laughing at whatever.
Yeah, because he's not funny.
I like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, he's okay.
I don't care for Jimmy Fallon.
I don't dislike Jimmy Fallon.
He's appropriately mediocre for his gig.
I couldn't do that job because you have to pretend to care about what other people are saying.
Well, yeah, but it's scripted, right? Like you know what's coming.
I still can't.
I think he's better than a lot of the other late night hosts. Like he's better than Leno ever was.
What?
You're gonna make him.
Are you kidding
used
me?
to watch Leno every night.
Every night.
Leno is the worst of them.
Oh my god!
I liked Jay.
How dare
Conan's
you?
better.
He
The
had
audacity.
the same joke for everything, and he wouldn't. He
you
told
seen
the
this? Have you heard
same.
about this?
He told the
Yeah.
same Monica
Love to see
Lewinsky
that.
jokes for like 10 years.
Okay. Well,
Every single show.
Norm Macdonald told the same O.J. Simpson jokes on the Weekend Update, and it was amazing. Until they fired him, and then he was just Norm, and it's great.
Unbelievable! Just how dare you?
And as soon as you said that, I was like, Evan's gonna get really mad.
Dare you?
Conan's better. Team Coco.
Oh.
Team Coco, for sure.
I'm not as big on Conan. Like I like Conan as a person. I'm not as big on him as like a host, but he's fine.
Did O'Hearn get that? He looks like he did. Or is that foul?
I think it's foul.
I don't.
Oh no,
it
that
hit
was
the
off the pole.
dude.
Off the pole.
Oh no, it hit something, but he's not.
Not the
doing
pole.
anything.
I guess it hit
What
off.
was that?
Maybe it hit off like one of the like the facades there on the side.
I don't know.
I thought it was the pole too.
That
though.
looked like a foul pole shot. Right
The way
there.
that it came back like well into the field of play, I was sure that was like the foul
clearly
pole.
it wasn't, because
He's still
in
standing.
the
Yeah,
batter's
he's
box
not
and
arguing.
looking annoyed. Which Ryan O'Hearn looks annoyed all the time. So
Yes.
he's probably annoyed that he has to play left field today.
I'm annoyed that he has to play left field
He's made
today.
both plays out there so far.
I mean, he's calling the ball, unlike
Yeah, I was
Ramon
getting nervous.
Urias.
He looks
Calling
annoyed
cows
that he
around.
has to bat lefty right now.
But he always does that.
Still looks annoyed by it.
I'd be annoyed too. That's
he's
strike
off.
3. That's a nasty pitch.
Yeah.
That was a really
Nothing
impressive
you can do
pitch.
about that. So, like I said 10 minutes ago, obviously we're done. We have some mailbag content.
Do we?
Yes, loyal listener James texted me this morning. Told me, tell Corey to start sending some DeMatha kids Auburn's way. Because Auburn already has 3 guys from St. Francis. So
We have a DeMatha kid at Auburn right now.
we'll send some more.
If he's talking about football, though, I don't
Yes.
know about that.
Who's the DeMatha kid from or who's the Auburn kid from DeMatha that's not a football player?
Gavin Ferran, he was a cross country guy for me.
Is he on their cross country team?
No.
Why did you mention
But
him?
he goes to Auburn.
Oh, he goes to Auburn. Oh, okay.
Gunnar Henderson almost went to Auburn.
Yeah. He's going to go to Auburn for free instead of the $2 million the Orioles were going to give him just for writing his name.
Did give him, yeah.
Well, I have no say in whether football players go to one school or another. Make sure that Auburn sends their recruiters up here, because I can tell you Nick Saban is here every single year.
Well,
Really?
not anymore.
Was not anymore.
Not gonna
but
be
yes, Nick Saban was on campus at least once every single year.
Yeah.
Every year that I've been here.
So where was
Sometimes more
Gus
than once.
Malzahn and Gene Chiswick and the other guy who
Who's
got fired?
co-coaches Auburn now? I forgot.
I have no
I
idea.
forgot.
I wouldn't know their
They go
faces
through
if I
so-
saw them. So
They
you
run
know.
through coaches like something through a tin horn. So
Maybe that's why I know DeMatha guys are going there.
when was the last? We've sent somebody to Auburn.
I'm sure we
recently,
have.
Right?
I couldn't tell you who.
I couldn't tell you who either. It's pretty bad. I can tell you. Alabama
I can tell you guys who have gone to Alabama. I can tell you some guys who have gone to Penn State.
Penn
There's,
State. I've
Shane
never liked
Simmons
them.
went to Penn State.
I can tell you some guys who went to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Who went to Ohio
Chase
State?
Young.
Oh yeah, that's right, Chase Young. I forgot about him. You know,
Now
some
we
guys-
got. I think Jason Moore is at Penn State, I believe.
That sounds right. Tino Ellis went to Maryland.
He did.
Shout out. So did T.J. McFarland. It's not T.J. McFarland.
T.J. McFarland.
A.J.
Anthony McFarland.
Anthony McFarland.
There you go.
There was a DJ Turner that went to Maryland, right?
There was a
Sure.
DJ Turner who went to Maryland.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
T.J. McFarland. No, he's from Chicago. So,
He's constantly being optioned to Norfolk and back up.
well,
In other words, not a football player.
yeah.
No, not a football player.
Yeah, so Corey, you're going to get on that this fall. Get some more of the Matha guys down at Auburn to play for whoever their coach is this season.
Sure.
I don't know who that is.
I'm
No idea who's coaching Auburn, which is... It could be Will Muschamp for all I know.
I don't even know yet what's going to happen
not
as far
here.
as like us broadcasting football games this fall because we still don't have a field lockdown.
Your boy's sitting here waiting.
Are you
Well,
going to
if,
be the
if,
field?
if we get a field lockdown and we decide that we're going to broadcast it, I'm probably going to have you and Scott handle the commentary because I'll probably show up to like help set up the equipment,
Yeah,
and
you
then
got
my intern is going to take care of things from there.
You got an
most
intern?
times. I have a
Struck out
co-teacher
the
who is
sign.
an intern at DeMatha this year.
Three's Company.
Yeah, his name is Jordan Gill, class of 15.
Cool.
Met with him last week. Nice guy.
Good for
Class
him.
of 15.
Yeah, seems pretty motivated.
Oh, makes me feel old.
It's only 7 years after you
Only
graduated.
7 years, and it was 9 years ago. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Auburn's football coach is
graduated-
Hugh Freeze.
Oh, that's right. I remember thinking, I was like, did they hire Hugh Freeze? Was he there last year?
I don't know.
Because Maryland whooped that ass in the bowl game.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Oh, right, that did happen.
That did happen, yes.
Danny Hugh Freeze Jr.
I ain't forget.
Uh,
That's not the guy who had hookers on speed dial, right?
at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
Oh. I don't know why I thought he was a senior. Okay, never mind.
How long has he been at Auburn? 2023 to present. So last year was his first season.
He got his ass whooped by the Terps.
Ooh,
Dirty
that's not what you want.
No. I couldn't believe it.
Even Georgia Tech won a bowl game.
Your boys.
We went to a bowl game.
Yeah, you shouldn't have. You think Mario Cristobal for that. He refused to take a knee in
All you had to do was
victory
take a knee.
formation.
Yeah, like that.
And then they gave up a 75-yard touchdown drive in 20 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
2 plays.
Yeah. The Georgia Tech sucks.
We saw him run
Y'all
all
lost
over
a bunch of
North Carolina.
nerds. Like, what happened?
You nerds know how to party. That's what I said on Instagram. You liked that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
So yeah, I guess we're done. Let's see. So before we get out of here and before we do the outro stuff, any shout outs from anybody?
I have a sort of make fun of you shout out.
Okay.
Kind of, I guess you'd call it a negative
Yes,
shout
a
out.
negative shout out.
All right, so Evan, you know how you always talk about how it's the summertime, which means the talking heads on sports channels, whether it's FS1 or ESPN,
They
have
don't
nothing
have
to talk
anything to
about,
say.
so they talk about the dumbest stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
Well-
this podcast, for example.
We don't talk about the same stuff. We keep it topical, and then we yammer about some nonsense that affects us. But
Oh, okay.
we're not doing Jordan LeBron.
Oh, jeez.
So anyway, I was watching Speak, which is on FS1. It comes on at 5:00
PM.
Yes.
Oh,
Like
okay.
around the horn time slot. Yeah.
Okay.
And I was watching this because I was at Looney's having a beer. And at 5:05, the banner said, it was a quote from Mike McCarthy, who coaches the Dallas Cowboys still for some reason.
Currently.
And apparently forever because she's been fired 3 different times. And it said that, Dak Prescott is only getting better. And so the topic was, among Shady McCoy and whatever other dorks they have on that show, was, has Dak reached his ceiling? And normally I'm like, okay, this is nonsense, filler, training camp talk.
It is.
Who cares?
Uh-huh.
The thing that intrigued me the most about it was, this was at like 5:03 that I see the headline. I start milling around my phone. I tell somebody, hey, I'm going to Kings Island this weekend. He's like, oh, yeah, you got to go ride the Beast. And it's like, Miss Son of Beast. And all this stuff because he's from Ohio. I was like, that's cool.
Oh, okay.
And I look back up. It's 5:24. And the topic is still, has Dak Prescott reached his ceiling? They spent the first 2 blocks on whether or not Dak Prescott, who is 30-something years old now,
Yeah.
has been in the league for almost a decade,
Also lost a bowl game to
and
Georgia Tech.
who constantly loses playoff games in horrible fashion and has never really been all that great. They're still talking about, has he reached his ceiling? Yes, the answer is yes. Move
I was
on.
about to say, you want me to go ahead and settle that in less than a full segment? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
They use I assume it's a half-hour show, and they were talking about this for 20
I
minutes.
think it's an hour-long program.
Oh,
He is
God.
a terrific fantasy quarterback. He's a solid real-life quarterback, but he's not going to get any better than he is right now.
He's fine.
And he might not get worse for a few years. He might stay consistent for a little while longer, but he's not getting better.
I don't think so either. So yeah, that's my make fun of because I
exhausting.
I thought it was so funny when I look back up. I'm like, they're still on this. How are they still on this? Like
No.
this is a nonsense topic anyway, and I couldn't hear it because the sound wasn't on. The sound was
Good.
on the Olympics, but I could see Shady was getting really animated and getting fired up for his argument. I'm just like, I don't know what he's saying, but he's put way too much effort into saying it because he could have just said, yes, he's hit his ceiling. Let's move on.
I'll give my shout out to Kristen Faulkner. So one sport that we did not talk about with the Olympics, we were talking about that earlier, is road racing for cycling. And Kristen Faulkner is the first American rider to win gold in the women's road race since the last time the Olympics were in Los Angeles in 1984, 40
wow.
years ago.
Wow.
She did not start the sport until she was 25 years old, 6 years ago.
Jeez.
And she won a gold medal?
And she won a gold medal. She was not supposed to be on the team. She was not supposed to be in the Olympics. But one of the riders who had qualified for the road race for the U.S. team decided to withdraw from it to focus on the triathlon and the cycling time trial events. So they called Faulkner up to the team. She went out. She had a pretty solid race throughout, but she had to make a late push. She was like 30 seconds behind getting into the last like 10 kilometers or so in the race. And she came back and just kept going. She put down such a strong sprint around the 3K mark to go to take the lead. And the other three riders who were with her basically just like were looking at each other like, well, I don't want to put the work in to stay with her. You move to the front. You do the work to chase. I'll get into your slipstream and use you. And they kept looking at each other. And by the time that any of them started like picking up the pace, she was out of sight. Like they had a turn that was like 200 meters ahead of them at least, and you couldn't even see her anymore. Like less than a minute after she first passed them, which is just insane kind of acceleration, and frankly an embarrassing lack of fight from the other competitors. So she wound up winning, going away, and it's a really cool finishing area because you make a turn into the last like 100 or 200 meters of the race, and you're racing directly away from the Eiffel Tower. So when the camera pans out as you're crossing the finish line, you can see the racer on the street, and then you see the Eiffel Tower in the background with the Olympic rings front and center. I mean, it's a gorgeous spot for the finish line, and just a really cool moment for a 31-year-old who didn't start cycling until 6 years ago when she moved to New York and needed to do something outdoorsy for herself.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the thing that she chose, and now she's an Olympic champion.
Yeah.
That sounds like a story right out of like the 1920s where, some drunk dudes just stumbled across the channel and decided to enter the Olympics and won
Well,
gold.
and that's part of why this is so cool and why I wanted to make this my shout out for today, because you don't usually hear about athletes who just like decide to pick up a sport becoming this good at this point because
you're not going to.
Because so many people like they're specializing in in a sport at a pretty young age, and they're being like bred and trained to do this. And it's just like, I mean, in some countries they literally are.
I'm not saying it was just. It's true.
So, yeah, I mean, just really, really amazing and an incredible finish to watch. If anybody has not seen that, I would encourage you to go back and just watch from, about 3.5 to 4 kilometers left in the race, which at the speeds that they're riding, you're basically only watching for 5 or 6 minutes. It's well worth it. It was impressive.
Alrighty. I just thought of this shout out. My shout is going to be to the Drunk Riders podcast, who are celebrating their Giga episode number 287. If you know, you know. And
Kind of shaky with the giga number there.
I mean, that's the joke, right?
Also, 287 is one less than us.
Yeah, because we've been taking a bunch of weeks off.
Does the Drunk Riders do every week?
Uh-huh.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're catching up to us, is what
Yes.
you're saying.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did they start?
I think they started before we did. It's a holiday again.
Breaks the tie.
He's going
And
international
there
with
goes
it.
the no-hitter.
Was it a no-hitter?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the first
the
one.
Orioles
Oh.
were looking feeble and pathetic.
I mean, to be fair, Chris Bassett's been dealing. Like,
Oh.
Sucks for you, though,
How does that suck for me?
because you have Chris Bassett on your fantasy team. Or did you not know that?
I forgot.
Actually, no, you don't.
I don't
you have,
think
you
I
have,
do,
you have Kevin
actually.
Gosman.
Yeah, he hadn't been any good either.
Who has Bassett then? I don't remember now.
Well, he's been hurt for a lot of the years. so
Somebody might have dropped
somebody
him for
might
all
have
I
picked him
know.
up, Yeah.
Let's get ready to get out of here. If you've made it this far into this assorted foolishness, thank you so much. We would have a prize for you, but this podcast doesn't make any money, and nobody listens.
We wouldn't give it to you anyway.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Well, I mean, I'm not sending out stuff. So anyway, let's see. You can listen to this podcast wherever you're listening to it right now. In addition, it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Podcasts. If we're not on your podcatcher of choice, please reach out to us, and we will fix that. Send us an email, thesportsballers@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @sportsballers18. Follow Corey on Twitter @Corey Puffett. Follow Eric on Twitter @Quagmire67. And follow me on Twitter @Evan_Ash13. You should like and follow our Facebook page. You should like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. And I think that is everything. Unless there's some late breaking news, I see Ramon Urias is batting with 2 strikes and just hit a little roller. So
He's
Bouncer.
too slow. He's not gonna.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be
That's a
that.
pretty decent play by Guerrero.
Yeah. Ramon Rios is comically slow for an infielder.
yeah. So that will do it for this week's show. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll talk